What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at another attacking tier list, and we've got a lot of the new players. Still Foot Birthday and Foot Birthday icons to come. They will be in the future attackings one in a month's time. Let's have a look at what we've got today then. So straight off the bat, we have Weghorst. A cracking SBC if you did him. Honestly, a beautiful card. 88 rated. I feel like he does play better than what it does suggest on the card personally, but he is still a stunning card. Shame he didn't get the upgrade. We won't really talk about that too much. In terms of actually where I'm going to be putting him, I feel like he's on the brink of S to AS. I personally will go here for the moment. I personally think he is kind of in the middle, but has the option most definitely to be that next level. If he did get the upgrade, I'd be possibly putting him in S, but for right now, we will keep him in the AS tier. If then we go further down, we look at Voler. Again, another cracking player right now. It is a shame he didn't get a fantasy foot. Hopefully he does get a new upgrade soon, because I think this card is still top tier, but he just needs that next upgrade now. We've got enough to kind of get him over the line into a top striker, but he definitely needs one more to go up to that next level personally. Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video. Vlahovic is one of the ones that I feel like, again, he is kind of now in B tier really. He's not really kind of chilling in them top tiers anymore. Obviously with the lengthy aspect of him at the start of the game, he could have had a very top end career in FIFA, but now that's been changed. It does mean that he is kind of falling behind the waistline. I'd happily go A for him personally. He's one of them cards that I do think if he managed to get a 94-95 would be very much looking like Rafael Leao, some sort of players like that would be in the topper category. We then have Vinny, quite an easy one for Vinny. S tier 100%. You're never arguing with that. I'm going to put him at the top here just in case we need to put some people at the bottom there. Need a little bit more room on this tier list. I might even get rid of maybe B lower, because actually when we did the midfielder one like this, we didn't really have too many B tiers, especially in terms of the players that we've got now. We're not looking at any B tier. It's all S. Well, it's S to really AS, to be honest. A is just kind of the players that are teetering out of it. Terrier is the next one. Had a few decent cards this year. Again, I feel like this card needs another upgrade to stay relevant, with obviously all of the fantasy foots and all of the good players that we've got. Personally, I rate him quite highly. I think he's still in my team. I want to say he's my left mid still. In terms of where I personally like him, I think if I was being brutally honest, I would maybe be looking at A at some point in the next week or two if we don't get another upgrade. But I'm gonna still stick him in the AS for right now. I think what he can do is still very good work. If then we look at Suarez, if we kind of discourage the links and all of that, because I think in terms of him, he's a good striker. I just don't think he's fitting well in this game now. Personally for me, he's one of them ones that is a great name, but that's all that's going to carry for him. With all of the strikers that we've got now going on, I'm going to go in the A, and more than likely he will drop down more and more, mainly because of the caliber of players that we have got. We have Sonny Baby, who most definitely is still in a good tier of him. I was expecting him, and hopefully expecting him for Foot Birthday if we do get a leak, as that is a World Cup. It's not a Stories. It's not a Phenoms. I think it's Road to World Cup, I want to say. I cannot remember what that promo is. Every time, it's the same as Suarez. I don't know what promo that one is. I'm pretty sure it's Road to World Cup, but most definitely still chilling in the AS. I feel like he is due an upgrade at some point, because most definitely he needs one now, just to put him up that little bit more, but already at a 91. They're going to keep him going. More than likely, if we do see him at Foot Birthday, probably only be a +2, +3 at a maximum. Smolarek, still fantastic. Again, very much like a lot of these heroes, could definitely due with an upgrade soon. I feel like with him, he's definitely got all of the attacking options. He just needs a refresh in a brand new card to put him in that market. We then have Sanchez, who I believe has got a double upgrade. I think it's him and Isaac that have now got double upgrades that will be live very, very soon, but we're going for what we can see for right now. In terms of Sanchez, a solid card, to be honest. Great pace, great shooting, great passing, great dribbling, good amount of physical. I think he's definitely teetering on to go into the S if he does get a good, I'd say +3 at a minimum, but then I'd say +4 would be what really tips him into 100% in that S, because he's going to be a 94 nonetheless then. If he gets a 93, I feel like he's got to be at the tail end of the S most definitely. For now, at the 90 from what we've used him in, I'm going to say AS, but definitely in the topper band of all of these players. Then we have, obviously, our man Salah. With Salah, I think he is a very, very top-end card. Pace-wise, it's always been fantastic. We've got good shooting on him. Passing's getting up there now. His rating's going higher. I've always liked the Team of the Season version of Salah, which maybe we do get again. I will be interested to see where we kind of go with the amount of players that are doing well this year. Again, we say it every year. I feel like Salah, for me, if you put him on a generic merit of right wing, I think he's got to be in that S. I don't necessarily always kind of rate his position personally, but in the grand scheme of things, he's got to be in that S in terms of what we have of all of these kind of right mids at the moment. We then have Saka, who is unbelievable. Very, very cheap, and he will come in with a great amount of kind of playability, to be honest. His pace is brilliant. His pace is absolutely rapid. We could now start to see a 90 plus Saka, which I think would push him into a bigger kind of pool of people actually wanted him. But most definitely for the price, he's going into that AS. The ability that he has, the price that he is just a wonderful, wonderful card. We then have St. Max, who again, he's dwindling a little bit now. I feel like he could definitely do an upgrade. Whether we get one, more than likely, I could see it in footies. I don't feel like we're going to see another kind of a non-promotional card for him. If he does manage to obviously get a performance-based one, then brilliant. But other than that, I feel like footies is going to be maybe a community vote. But again, I don't think he's necessarily done enough for Team of the Season yet. That could always change. And I think if I'm being brutally honest with him, I would put him in the middle. I'd put him absolutely bang in the middle. For right now, I'm gonna say A, purely for the fact of the cards that we have got coming. I just don't think he's at that caliber right now. Maybe if he got another upgrade, we could see something else from him. We then have CR7, quite an easy one, straight into the AS. I do think in terms of ability, still got it, still really like him, but unfortunately, he's not fitting into many teams at the moment, especially with obviously what's coming next, with obviously his other Saudi version, which is his first version. Whether we get another upgrade soon, we have got a lot of Saudi foundations. El Jabba's come in, as well as Al Warren for the new fantasy foots. Whether we see a Ronaldo to kind of bump his rating up again will be very interesting. Maybe a foot birthday if that does get leaked. And I think, again, he's still very standard for me. I do think he needs an upgrade to kind of go with these next players in this S. I know, obviously, there is going to be few that would like him in the S. I think if you put him back to Man U with a lot of less players coming out, he's definitely an S, but I do think he's dropping down as we speak. We then have Rodrigo. Again, another great card that has got hopefully a big future in obviously Real Madrid and in FIFA. At the minute, 87 rated, still got the pace and obviously the dribbling, but most definitely coming in like St. Max, just a little bit under par for me right now. We then have Richarlison as his SBC for moments. Personally, it's not a bad looking card. I remember him being relatively expensive, which I just personally don't like, especially for a card that is standard in terms of strikers. Doesn't really offer a load, really, just kind of there, really. I feel like in terms of what we get from him, good pace, shooting, dribbling, physical, he's really got to be in the AS. I just think if we was doing one based fully on prices, I would kind of be putting him in A personally. We then move over to Ribery, who is a beautiful 5-star. Just looking at my sheet, in fact, if I put it over here, we can then see it a little bit better. So we got Ribery coming in here. And we get him out of the way. And in terms of Ribery, a beautiful 5-star. Very, very early on. We have got an SBC, which I believe was an end of era. We then have now a rule breaker from one of the very first promos. And I still think he can do absolute work. Whether I put him in S is now the kind of question. I do think he's definitely got the ability to be there, especially when he first came out. Now I do think people are catching up. The only thing that I think Ribery has over a lot of people is that 5-star, 5-star, which now we are starting to come to a 4-5. We are getting players that are getting that boost, but it's more all of the stats. Everybody's got the pace, dribbling and shooting. Now it's about the passing, the physical, how he is off the ball, how he is on the ball, and I think Ribery is now coming slightly underneath. We then have Raspadori, a great player, 89 rated, I believe Napoli, I want to say, doing absolute work. Just got his another upgrade, which is always perfect, gone from an 86, and most definitely coming in very nice. And I think the AS is going to be very, very full at this rate, because we have got a lot of good players that are not necessarily S in my opinion, but most definitely come in at a very high rating. We then see Rashford, who price-wise was an absolute joke. Like, this card it's a good card, but the price of him was silly. Very, very silly. To say we're getting a lot of footballers now, we're getting a lot of left wingers that are just peanuts in comparison to the price of the SBC. Yes, you can obviously do him for free if you had all the cards untradeable, but in terms of what we went from the last player of the month to this one, the cost is just absolutely crazy. So he is going to go in the AS, but I do think, again, like a lot of these players, how they would be, if it wasn't for the value, there'd be big questions to be asked from them. We then obviously have Liao. Incredible. This guy has got a future, and hopefully with Team of the Season around the corner, he could have a monster card for people. 91 rated already, just a great forward, and I just rate him so highly in this game. It is unreal. We then got Politano from way back in Winter Wildcard, an SBC with more traits than I think quite a few players put together, to be honest, but another wonderful, wonderful card. He is, again, always AS, and this is why we are blasting through these, because like I say, in terms of attackers now, we are getting a lot of top-end attackers. They may not be all world beater S's, but they are big, big pulls in this attack in front. If you don't manage to pack an R9, an Mbappe, a Eusebio, these will still give you a very good shot. Just because they're not an S doesn't necessarily mean that they are unusable by any shout. If you had one of these, I'd still be very happy. If you linked up, for instance, a Voler with Politano, a Ribery with Smolarek, I'd still be very happy with that attacking line. We then have Payet. Everybody knows how much Payet is on mine. I absolutely love that card. He is going straight into that AS, and a brilliant, efficient card if you did do that SBC. We then have Papin, another fantasy foot hero. Honestly, I do like him. I've not been the biggest fan from release for Papin. I think he's been an okay striker. I've never really rated him too highly, but I do think this version does have a nice increase, plus the obvious chance to get an upgrade. I don't think he's had his upgrade yet, or at least I don't think he's qualified for it yet, but he does have plenty of matches, which I gotta see a +1 at the minimum. There is only a kind of a select few at the moment that obviously have had that upgrade, but most definitely I think he's AS. With the upgrade, it'll be interesting because we don't know fully how much they're being upgraded by. We know that obviously it's a +1, but we don't know if the stats are getting a nice boost or just a standard. That's going to be the interesting one going forward. We then go to Oshiman's Player of the Month. Again, another wonderful card. I think in terms of what he's offering compared to a lot of players is a little bit now under budget, but I do think the price, looking at the stats, a very, very nice card that can potentially go forward. In terms of a Serie A squad, we're looking good and nice for him. We're going to just chill him there. And then we also have a Penda. This card is a joke. 99 pace, already got great shooting. It's his third or fourth in form, I think third, but what a card this is. The overall with just a marksman is 94 on him. Incredible stuff. Most definitely a wonderful card to go into this list, and if he gets a Team of the Season, which I think he should, he is going to be incredible. That brings us on to JJ. Personally, I know how people feel about this card. I've seen tier lists, I've seen reviews, I've seen everything. People rave, mainly about the World Cup JJ. This version is obviously Turkish League, which I'm not a massive fan of. I think they definitely could have sticked with Ligue 1, even though that is what they're trying to do, is broaden him around. I know he doesn't necessarily matter for obviously the 3 stars, but he does get links to everybody else in Ligue 1 if obviously that's his his league. But in terms of the card, I personally don't find him too playable, but I know a lot of people do. So we will go S as a viewer honorary, because personally I don't personally put him in AS. In S. I personally put him in AS as a top end AS, but most definitely nothing more than that. We then have Nunez. Again, a card that I'm disappointed that he's not done more. I feel like he is one of them cards that needs to have just something more. I don't know what it is. He's just got this one to watch. There should have been a non-performance base by now. An 89, 90 Nunez, which would have been brilliant. Now he's kind of just fallen off the mark a little bit. I personally don't see him anymore. Until he gets an upgrade, he's going to chill in the A. He's just got to. We then have Nkunku, who is wonderful. 92 rated from the Path to Glory version of the World Cup. Still a wonderful card from now. Again, another one that has not necessarily hit headlines since coming back. I don't personally know what he's doing. I don't personally follow Leipzig, but most definitely still in this version of the card is coming in at a good rating. We then go to Nketiah. Again, a card that is nice. I feel like the Future Stars is always a nice promo to see where players could be, and then seeing them next year and the year after to see, do they fill a potential? Are they higher rated than obviously their Future Star prediction? But for Nketiah, he's just not quite at that top end. We've seen the Alvarez, we've seen obviously the Elangas. They all follow suit in where they should be in this tier list. We then go to Neymar, who is the easiest one to put in the S. Again, another one that probably is due an upgrade at some point. I know he necessarily can't get an upgrade on weak foot or skill move, but most definitely a foot birthday would be fantastic for him. Nakata, another one that I think is a solid cam, but most definitely not necessarily going to go too high on the list. He's going to go into that A, chill there for a little bit. Mukhtar, another good one. Personally, not really going to go into any teams. I'm going to go into the B. The first B of the list, I just feel like fodder is literally all he was designed for. Maybe some objective play, but even then, we've got the Dempseys and the cheap players that can be fine. We don't need to do any SBCs for the MLS. And to be honest, EA really haven't done too much in terms of these objectives really to warrant it. It's mainly nation-based or major league-based. So in terms of MLS, very, very little without no icon swaps. And I think that's what everybody anticipated. Icon swaps brings more of them leagues together. We have Mudryk now as another future star. Wonderful card. Very, very nice card. I do think he's now slightly coming off the pace a little bit, mainly just because there is so many options, it's ridiculous. But I do think for me, he will just stick in that AS just under, and we couldn't ask for better in Morientes next. A beautiful foot fantasy hero, and I think most definitely worth every upgrade you could possibly point for him. I think it was it an SBC I wanted to say, or it was just generic in the World Cup? Very, very nice indeed. One of them cards that shouldn't do well, but always does, and I never know why. He's a card that just scores goals, and obviously he's got to chill in the AS. I feel like if he managed to get a double upgrade, I could consider S, but I think in the caliber of players that would be an S, I just don't see him in that sort of category. Messi, quite simple, and obviously Mbappe is just chilling behind him. There's just going to be no debate there, with Mbappe coming in just over him as well. Team of the years, they're easy. They're so easy to put in. That's just a nice and easy point. Martinez, again, like a lot of players, coming in now with needing an upgrade, something a bit more to kind of make him that little bit better, and that's all she wrote with him, really. Martial is an interesting one, because I think this card has got the potential for that S if he does manage to keep going. We've recently got the 91 for him. The pace is brilliant. The dribbling's nice. Shooting, even at 90, teeters a little bit. I don't think he's consistent enough with the finishing, and I think that is personally where hopefully another upgrade kind of helps. Whether it does, some cards are just maxed at a potential. You could put every stat on him, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So at the minute, I'm still saying AS. I'd say he is probably 1 to maybe 2 upgrades away from definitely being in that S category for me. We then have Mane, who I'm pretty sure. Oh, okay, we can move it like that. There we go. We can move it like that. So I'm just gonna put him underneath here. You didn't see him at all, and it's perfect that he fits right underneath there. Mane version here. This is the Mane we're talking about. A very nice left wing. SBC during Team of the Year. Pretty standard. Whether I think he's kind of S category, I do like him, but I don't think he's personally going in the S for me. I would happily put him at the top end of the AS. I just don't think he's personally in that top brand for me. Malin, again, we've kind of put him in here just to go next to Mukhtar, to be honest. Was very good for the objective that you needed, a road to the final, mainly because a lot of people got him as a loan. Other than that, very, very, very standard. I just don't see him being used, to be honest. We then have Mahrez, who is a great player, still in the bench of my team, or maybe put into reserves now, but when he came out, a very, very nice card that you could have got done. I'm still going to put him in AS, but I do think he will dwindle down a little bit. Could do with that 90 upgrade if possible. Other than that, he will start to die out if he doesn't get anything more. We then get Lucas Moura, an 88 rated card. Pretty good road to the final. Obviously Spurs, not expecting too much from him. Great pace on him. Obviously the dribbling, pretty standard for most wingers nowadays. So I think in terms of this card without any upgrades, I'm going to have to put him in that A. Even though I do think a lot of people would disagree, I personally rate the players up here more than obviously what he can kind of provide. So next one, Lundberg. Quite an easy one. We go down to B for you. He's just lost it now. We needed an upgrade. We didn't get it. That's all she wrote. Lewandowski, always going to be in that A until he gets Team of the Season. There just needs to be a full work around him. If he got a Team of the Year, yes, it's going to be an S. But for right now, a 93, which is only, 2 ratings higher than what we got at the start of the game, it's just not enough to get him over that line. Lamela. Now, this is what we want to see. 90 pace, 89 shooting, 90 passing, 92 dribbling, as well as the 87 physical. That is an upgraded card. Obviously with Sevilla, I believe they're still in the Europa. I want to say I saw them in the draw. I can't remember though personally, but that is a beautiful card that you definitely want. I'm going to put him here. I really wish I could go over the top of everybody, but we'll put him here. Obviously, you can see the rating then, so you know which version. Obviously, top end, bottom end are obviously going to be for AS, and then same for A there. So if you're just going to skip through, then just know, would always do 2. Hopefully, S doesn't go that much, otherwise we might have to move them up personally. Lacazette coming in now. Again, still a very nice striker. He's going to go into that AS 100%. And this is where it's going to be a bit more interesting to see. We need a bigger space. I need a bigger screen. I need a bigger everything. Yeah. Then we go into the player that I cannot pronounce his name. We're just going to slowly put him into this AS. This looks like a mess. But we keep going. We keep moving. We need to make that AS a little bit bigger. Obviously, there is, especially now with the new fantasy foots, a lot of players that are coming in. Dirk Kuyt. Never really rated him. Eredivisie is not going to do enough for me. We then have our first footballer in Kuleveski. A very, very nice right wing. Very cheap to do. I like the concept of footballers. Could have been executed a little bit better. 100%. I feel like they've just put an idea together and not really got the longevity of it. It's been, a day, 2 days of footballers, and then you're bored. Yes, you get a player every day. We've already identified if the objectives are staying the same. Do all the SBCs every day. Do the objectives at the end of the week. Get them all done at once. Easy. So it could have been better. I feel like the upgrades definitely could have been more personal to the card, as well as obviously actually been a little bit more enjoyable. I felt like they've just gone with the same system as how they do all the other upgrades, and they just could have done better. We've got Harry Kewellers next, 90 rated. Rate this card so much. Hopefully Leeds do get an upgrade at some point. I want to say they drew at the weekend, so they are not getting the upgrade for him right now. But we should get an upgrade. 91 Harry Kewell is a beautiful card. We then get into Robbie Keane. Another cracking SBC. Was a little bit expensive when he came out, but we are going to keep him in that AS, as I think he does deserve respect. Harry Kane, nice and easy into that A. There is no doubt in my mind he needs another upgrade. It's just, that is what it is. Jesus, another cracking card that I think personally is starting to fall down by the waist. There is a lot of right wings. I personally like him at striker personally more, but I do think he is getting a little bit just washed out. I know he's not necessarily been playing. Enquiries has been over him at the moment with his injury, but we want to see him back. We want to see that 90 plus striker version of him because he's got that pace and dribbling. That is the only factor for him that is keeping him in that AS, is the fact that dribbling wise and the pace kind of mixed alone is phenomenal. We then have Isaac, who personally for me is incredible. Is a brilliant card. 89 rated now, has already got the double upgrade, so he will be a 91. More than likely we'll find in 2 more appearances for the 92. That is going to be a card to be reckoned with. I personally hold him very, very high regards. He is 100% in that S category for me. And somebody who is very much like Ibrahimovic. And we've gone up a little bit, okay. Perfect, we'll go like that then. So Ibra is very much like Isaac, or vice versa. Isaac is very much like Ibra. Not the fact that they're just Swedish together. Both of them tall, unique builds, dribbling wise good. The physicality of Isaac definitely could be worth an upgrade, but most definitely he is coming in with that unique sort of style. And I do think with these upgrades, he is going to be an absolute menace up front. We then have Eden Hazard, another great card, can obviously have the upgrades. He won't get the appearances, I don't believe, but he has going to get the win. Unfortunately, if he doesn't get any sort of game time in the league, then obviously he's not going to get the goals or assists either, but hopefully we can dream. They could obviously go 6 games unbeaten. That is definitely not a kind of unusual thing for Real Madrid. For right now, he's going to go in the standard AS with the upgrades. If he managed to get 3 or 4, then he's 100% going in that S. Then we have Haaland. Easiest one I've done, to be honest. And another one that personally I rate so much in this. Griezmann is just a joke. Like, genuinely, whenever I've come up against him, he just runs rings around me. Not managed to pack his path to glory at all, and we've managed to play with him a handful of times, but a beautiful card. If he manages to get another upgrade, a 90 plus Griezmann is going to be wonderful. We then have Jackie Grealish, 89 rated. He has got a 90 rated coming, but he isn't out right now. So I'm only doing the cards, even though we've got footballers that are currently out, because we can't play with any of them. There is no information on that 90. For right now, that left wing 89 is going to go in the A. Whether the 90 takes that step up will be the interesting part in the coming days. We then have Govu, who, again, very much like a lot of these heroes, could do with the upgrade. Still think he's an absolute baller up front, but I do think he is starting to now dwindle down, more than likely in the next probably 2 weeks, I'd say 3 weeks. Once we've had the 2-foot birthday weeks, more than likely drops down into that A for me. We then have Gordon, who personally for me was a nice upgrade, just in the wrong game mode. The objective for foot champs for him just really wasn't the one for me. I personally wasn't going to do that. You have to really kind of care to do him. Other than that, he is AS. I just think in terms of what you've got to do, it just wasn't worth it in my opinion. Then we obviously have Mario Gomez. I believe we should have 2 different versions of him. He is a Foot Fantasy Hero player pick that you could have done, where you get to pick the Serie A or obviously Bundesliga. Both of them, same rating, same everything. There's no difference between them other than the club that will get the wins. So if you picked either or, I don't think any of them have an upgrade as of yet, depending on which one you pick, which will be interesting if one gets the win and one doesn't, or one gets a double upgrade and one doesn't, because we've never seen that before. So it's a nice thing that they added him. I do think in terms of striker, he's semi okay. Like, I don't think he's necessarily balling mentality, but I'm not a massive fan of kind of what you've got to do to get him in the team. He is that sort of player that you really have to force the goals. Obviously, both of them being the same rating, he is in the same category for both. And then we have Ginola, who I'm hoping, in fact, we have... I'm pretty sure we put his... Yeah, of course we did. So, in fact, we just put both of them in there because he's a god. He's an absolute god of this game. We know full well he is absolutely incredible. He's already going to have the upgrade for the first win, so that is absolutely beautiful that Newcastle managed to beat out Forest, and he's going to be a 92 at the minimum. Whether he gets to the 93 is under question, but he could be still. There is still light at that tunnel. Martinelli, left mid-wise, still going to be cheeking in that AS, but I do think if he managed to keep getting upgrades, we're looking at a very sensational card. Left mid-wise, top price, very, very well worth it. Forlan, again, another top-end striker that could do with another upgrade at some point, whether we see it in the coming weeks. I don't think we'll get Foot Birthday Heroes if they've already given us icons, but if the next promo is maybe like a Trophy Heroes, That would be pretty sensational. We then have Philly Foden, who personally for me is kind of dropping off. Not really been a fan of him too much this year. I do think he is kind of in that category that, yes, on the ball, absolutely wonderful. The dribbling side of him's good, but in terms of rating and what he can kind of produce, I just don't think he's a slot in many people's teams personally. Firmino, another cracking card. I do think 91 rated has really taken his value up. I don't think he had a special card other than this one this year, and it's amazing to see that massive upgrade, what it can do. He was not in the question, and now dribbling's perfect. Great pace, great shooting, great passing. At a chem style, you are looking at a beautiful cam on this guy. Centre forward cam striker, works an absolute treat, and I rate him very, very much in this. We then have Ferran Torres, unfortunately not going to get any more upgrades just because they've been knocked out, but he's still a standard player. There's very little about him that screams out different. He's going to go in that A. We then have João Felix. Pretty standard, nice and easy into the AS. We are now running out of space, so we need to hope that there's a lot more ballers or non-ballers in this. Alanga, I got him yesterday actually from the tokens pack. He's a nice player, but I do think they did a lot of the future stars a little bit dirty. Composure-wise, not being upgraded. Minuscule stats just not moved. So it is a shame that he isn't quite in that top category, but still a nice upgrade for a silver. We then have Dybala. Again, very much like Nunez. If Nunez is in there, Dybala's got to be in there. Every version of this card hopefully gets better and better. Like Nunez, we have got an 89 from his man of the match now, but I do think personally for me, he needs that next step up. Needs a big upgrade, a non-performance based if it needs to be, but something that is absolutely crazy. We then have Donovan, easiest B tier I've ever done. Again, very standard. I don't think there's too much that Donovan or Dempsey could do personally to change that. Jota, beautiful card, absolutely beautiful. Did Liverpool play? I want to say they did, but I cannot remember. If I can go back and see, he is a very nice card, dribbling wise. In terms of a centre forward cam, maybe even a wing is perfect for him. But in terms of what he kind of can produce as a striker, I just don't think he's there personally, and I don't think Liverpool actually played. There is no live games, so I don't think they actually played it. We go from the 17th. That was obviously Newcastle. We then... Oh, no, they did. They postponed it. It was... I'm assuming they had FA Cup or something else. So, yeah, so they haven't played yet. In terms of him, if we just go past it, obviously going to be in the AS. If he does manage to get a good upgrade, which I think he should be able to, he is playing, so he should get the free appearances. Obviously, he'll get the win at some point. Whether he gets the assist, that's going to be the interesting part for the assists and the goals. He could do it, but it's not guaranteed. And there is a potential that they could obviously do it without the losses. Same with Luis Diaz, very similar footballer, coming in standard, nice card, nothing too crazy upgraded wise, but is a free upgrade once you've done the SBC for an 83 rated team. Never going to deny that one. Di Natale, the quickest S I'm going to put in this list. He is sensational. Already got the upgrade. Udine's beaten AC Milan. Incredible stuff. That card is going to be a joke. Genuinely a joke. Di Maria, this card when he came out was so cheap, it was unbelievable. He has been a super sub for me for literally since the World Cup, and he has been beautiful ever since. An absolute baller in this. We then have Depay. Personally, for me, Depay is a wonderful card with a bad price tag on him. He was an SBC for the Fantasy Foot, and I just did not rate putting 300 to 500,000 coins worth of cards in when literally less than a month later, we've got Cruyff. Yes, you can't do FIFA like that. You can't go for the, oh, we might get R9 next month. You never know. Cruyff, now looking at it, I just would be so gutted. Going from, what, a 2 million SBC and putting 500k worth of fodder into that one when we can literally get the better version is very much a shame, but he's still an absolute baller in this game if you did finish him. Dempsey, see you later. Dembele, easy 5-star, still very, very manageable in this game. Then we have... I can never pronounce his name, and I want to say his name was Charles to begin with. A player pick between the striker and the left wing. I personally like the striker version. Very, very top-end striker. And I think for me, he sits kind of just in this category. Very, very close to obviously being in that S. And we are getting very close to not having any room. David or David, what is it? Jonathan David. Beautiful card. Very much like a Pender at the top somewhere. Brilliant card. Had a 4th upgrade, or he's had 3 informs, and then he's had a Phenoms, I want to say. Absolutely sensational. Dante was jokes. Like, genuinely jokes. And he's going to fit underneath there, isn't he? We'll start putting these down here. And honestly, I need to figure out this tier list. I do apologise. But we keep going. Crouch, unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Probably one of the best upgrades from a hero so far, other than obviously Ginola and Di Natale. But Crouch has had he's just been revived. Genuinely hated his hero, hated his World Cup. This version of him, absolute perfect from EA. Correa, still incredible. As we always, we're going to whack him over here. We're going to cover the AS now. Coman, God, it's been a while. That was I'm pretty sure that was a token one as well from the what is it called, the World Cup swaps. Personally, for me, I'd actually say he is dropping down a little bit. I don't think I've seen him at all in any FIFA at the minute. So we'll go with A for him for now. I'm trying to think of kind of how many tokens he was, but I don't think he was too many. I just don't think he's being used. With all of the left wings we've got, you can kind of see why. Same with Joe Cole. World Cup card in general looks nice. Good pace, shooting's getting there, great dribbling, passing solid, but standard. Nothing too crazy from him. We'll go into the A with him as well. Chiesa. Oh, this is a nice card. This is a beautiful card, and it's a shame I don't have any room. He is 100% going in that AS. Still got room to improve, but most definitely a wonderful card if you can get him in. Cahill, again, I see people somewhat rating him, but personally, I do think he's now just needing that upgrade. We've obviously got the standard pace, dribbling, shooting. Physicality's good, but in terms of overall play, just not quite there for me. Brolin, this is one that wanted a fantasy foot. He would be magnificent as a fantasy foot. Still in the AS, still giving us hope. Brandt, 2nd player of the month in a row, very much like Rashford. Very cheap, very affordable, just not very good. 82 pace in a right wing. I'd even go down to fodder, to be honest. I think I was thinking of A, but then I think that's disrespectful for a lot of the right wings we've got there. Benzema, yes, another S tier, 100% going in there, and we follow up with another S tier as well. Benzema, Ben Yedder, the Bees are back, and that is a beautiful partnership. Ben Yedder, Mbappe, Benzema, you've got so many French lads, Griezmann, Ginola. They just are the absolute, they're just the best. They genuinely are. Ben Yedder, SBC wise, he's just so good. Genuinely, if you've done his player of the month or got an inform version, his Centurions version, he is just stupid good in this game. Cannot wait to see if he gets team of the season. Bamford, again, I've got to go in the A for him. I think he's had an upgrade. He looks nice, but he doesn't play how it is. He's a nice card, just he's more show than actually playing. I don't think personally he's worth the rating he is. It's a great fodder card at the end of the day. Not going to kind of go over a lot of these strikers, but I do think he is great at fodder if we were personally looking at that. We then have Balungu from the level 30 rewards from last season. Again, not a bad card. I just think personally he could have been a little bit earlier. An 87 rated for level 30 when we're looking at 90 to 95 rated strikers. Unfortunately, it's just a little bit too late for that card. Gareth Bale, easy. Absolutely easy for me. I personally, if you go in super subs, S tier 100%. If you go in starting, I think now we're starting to get a lot of right wings. I feel like he will join in here just as that AS is poking through. Aubameyang, I always rate Aubameyang, and it's slowly becoming less and less to try and keep an argument with him because we just need another upgrade for him. He's one of them cards that he just is now starting to fall apart. If we did, well, we won't. If he's not going to be a team of the season, let's be real. But if he did manage to say get a footies 96, 97, S category all day long, I'm gonna throw my neck on the line here. One more tier list because I do think he's got a little bit of play. We're gonna keep him in the AS. And we're going to keep him there for right now. But when the new strikers do come out from Foot Birthday, and I think Trophy Titans, if that's still coming, I'm going to have to knock him down. Asensio definitely being knocked down now. Even as a winger, still very good, but most definitely not in the kind of play for everybody else now. And Alvarez, incredible, as we know. And I think we should be coming into now the final few cards. Alwaran, do we really even need to explain him? Absolutely sensational. El Jabba, If it wasn't for the fact that his SBC was literally there for about 70 days and we know whether he's getting an upgrade or not, which he's already got his first upgrade, he most definitely is an AS now. An interesting one to see. And finally, nearly finally, we have El Ediemi. I want to see if I can move all these out the way now. If we can, move out the way, please. Oh, and I think Abide Pele is number one there. Abide Pele, easy one going into that S. And can we move back down here? Adama, if we can move the screen over a little bit again, can we? There we go, perfect. We've got Adama and obviously Adeyemi as the final two. Adama, for me, still very, very good as a super sub in terms of actually playing. He's half and half. I feel like what I'll do is I'll put him here. He's an AS honorable, yeah. But in terms of stars, he's just not. It's not happening. He's just not getting up there. And then finally with Adeyemi, still a wonderful card, a great future star. Hopefully we do see more of him because he has definitely got the future in FIFA, and he'll slot here nicely in the AS. And that's going to be the list. We've got a lot of strikers. We've got a lot of play here. Hopefully we can move my camera out of the way, so we'll go down here. Beautiful. That is the full list. The S category is full of absolute ballers. A few honourable mentions into El Warren, Abide Pele, Alvarez is relatively new, Di Natale, Janola, obviously Isaac and Harry Kuehl and Okocha, and then a few of the star-studded. Obviously, if you want to see any icons, then check out the channel as I have a tier list of every single icon ranked. They pretty much stay the same the whole way year through. Let me know what you think about this. Make sure you do like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.